we're going to get into Slammiversary out of the gates right away. And if you'll excuse me for a second, I'm going to go on the big camera because I have some things to say. Because WWE passed the ball to TNA for Slammiversary, and TNA absolutely fumbled it. Now, don't get me wrong, there were a few good things about this show. I mean, that ladder match was a lot of fun. Cedric Alexander versus Ali until the finish was a lot of fun as well. And who can forget Moose versus Leon Slater? That was an absolute banger. And then AJ Styles coming out after it and just basically putting over Leon Slater. That was incredible too. You guys know me, for the past 2.5 years, I have been a big Leon Slater guy, so I was loving that. But the fact is, I'm not entirely sure you can hype up AJ Styles returning to TNA for, what, almost a week? And that was realistically all that was being talked about, just for him to just have a 1-minute segment putting over Leon Slater. But anyway, that's not even my biggest issues with this event, because one of my biggest issues was they are dealing with the exact same production issues which they were dealing with 5-10 years ago, where cameras, they just don't show big moves, and they also don't show replays. They go to backstage segments 30 seconds early. The mics are too quiet so you can't hear anything. These are all basic things which independent promotions at this point do well on Triller. So what is TNA's excuse? It's not money, it's not a production budget. What it is communication backstage with a production team. There's clearly an issue, and that issue hasn't been fixed in 5 to 10 years. Come on, fix it. Inexcusable. But the biggest issue of them all was the fact that this pay-per-view did a fantastic job at building younger stars for WWE. Because I'm okay with JC Jane beating Masha, okay? If the main event was different, I'd be okay with that. But the fact that on TNA's biggest pay-per-view, potentially ever, but at least in the last 15 years, the fact that it ended with an NXT guy with the championship just makes no sense to me. This was the opportunity to put over Santana, to turn him into a star. Because guess what? Yes, you could do it down the line. Yes, I think they will do it down the line. But there won't be as many eyes on him as there were last night. There just won't be, unless maybe they did it on an NXT show. But if they do it on an NXT show, they're not going to own the footage. So it's going to be a disaster at that. So honestly, TNA, in the words of Soul, just lol TNA'd themselves once again. Clark, look, you know what, I'm going to say one more thing. A couple of weeks ago on the daily broadcast, you and Shard, I said something. And that something was that I thought TNA had a chance to battle AEW to be the second promotion, right? I said I didn't think they'd overtake them, but I thought they'd have a chance to at least battle them. Well, you know what? I'd like to issue the Wrestling Republic faithful, as well as everybody at All Elite Wrestling, a massive apology. I was wrong. I could not be more wrong. If I said left was right, I'd be more right than that opinion. It was disgraceful, and Clark, I apologize to you.
Apology accepted, and don't get me wrong, you know, if you missed off the air last night, I discussed some of the show for sure. We had a great time. It was a really great show. Ben, I don't necessarily want to re-slam this versary, but boy, are you spot on. There was a lot of funk here, and we're not talking George Clinton. Nobody asked for the funk. This was okay. AJ Styles shows up. I'm talking highlights of the night. Should be the highlight of the night, basically to be like, guys, look at Leon Slater. He's good. Fans are asking for a match to be booked, and he's like, look, this guy's good. We'll talk about matches later. Just showed up, played his old music, walked out, and then told everybody he thought Leon was very good and that the X division still doesn't have limits. JC Jane, I was wrong about. I didn't think JC Jane would get it done. She did. That to me was the highlight of the night, and JC Jane deserves her flowers. This run has been better than people have given her credit for. I don't think a lot of people had JC Jane on their bingo card as a double champ, cross-promotional champion in 2025, and she's carried it with dignity, and the match was good. One more thing, though. You can't bring us just Bubba to challenge the Hardys to a match and the whole crowd wants Devon and not also give us Devon. You can't do that. It's not cool. It was a mess up. What in the world are we doing here? And last but certainly not least, what I find the most interesting, Joe Hendry has been the story of TNA for a long time now. Joe Hendry's entrance, the song, all of the viral moments, all of that have been a huge deal. He got overshadowed by both entrances in that triple threat match. He got overshadowed by both competitors in that triple threat match. Mike Santana received double the reaction that Joe Hendry did, and that's been the face of your company for over a year now. That's the guy you sent to WrestleMania to wrestle Randy Orton. Mike Santana got cheered like he was the rock star. I get he's in New York City, but it's just not the same. Even Trick Williams with the Harlem Choir, the entrance was a bigger deal. The boos were louder than the cheers for Hendry. More hands were in the air. I'm just saying, I didn't hate the finish at all. That's one thing I actually did appreciate, because Mike Santana, oh so close in New York City, the crowd fully behind him, and Trick pulls the rug out from under him. Trick and Mike Santana put on an amazing match on NXT. I can see the rubber match here outside of a triple threat context down the road, where it's a big deal and a crowning moment for Mike Santana. But to me, Santana's entrance was arguably the highlight of the night. And that's a little bit odd to me on a show of this size.
It absolutely is. And if you guys actually remember, because I've been watching Joe Hendry, by the way, for over 10 years now, I said that Joe Hendry was going to be a flash in the pan in terms of the mainstream. I said, and I got a lot of criticism when I said this, that I don't think WWE are going to sign him, because I reckon he's going to be too cold by the time they go to potentially have the opportunity to sign him. So I think they're just cashing in on him now. And Soul's saying the same thing. He's saying, dude, just a catchphrase and a catchy tune. I think that's a bit harsh on him, right? I like Joe Hendry, I really do, but I don't think he's a main event star in the long term, and I'm not entirely sure he offers as much as people originally were saying for a little bit of time. Donnie is saying, wait, people are complaining about Slammiversary.
Not people, Donnie, me. I'm complaining.
A lot of people. Our audience in general today has been a lot more negative than positive about this
Both
event.
of them are complaining.
I don't care what everybody else thinks. I'm complaining.
Honestly, there was a lot of good about it, but there was also a lot of bad about it. And to still have the same production issues you're having 5 years later with a hell of a lot more production costs, and also, I mean, come on, independent promotions are doing it better. Progress has better live production.
Archie loved it.
There's no excuse. No excuse. It's dreadful. Archie,
Watch this, Ben. He's gonna make us both sick.
Right. So here's the thing: is that obviously I respect your guys' opinions a lot of the time. I don't even respectfully disagree. I heavily disagree with what you guys are saying here, because first of all, we're going to talk about the production issues. Yes, there were some issues in this show, but then you're saying they've still got the same issues that they had 5 or 10 years ago. But then you're sounding like someone that hasn't watched a TNA pay-per-view for like a year.
I've watched every TNA pay-per-view. Well,
then why are you saying that there's production issues when clearly, and even in our reviews that you have co-reviewed with me, or Kobe's co-reviewed with me, production has been higher. It's been near the 0.75 and up to the ones eventually, because it has gotten better. You can't just kind of go on this one show, which it has been bad, but it's not been like consistently bad, like you've been saying. You're just going off this one show. Yes, it wasn't great, but they're going to learn from that. And it's not even something that they need to strengthen anyway, because the production has been great for them. We're talking about TNA doing live shows now in terms of production. So a few years ago, that didn't even seem possible. The show, I thought, was a fantastic way to, because this is what TNA's goal was, and it was clear to me, was they wanted to make a show for the regular viewers, but more so, they knew they were going to get more eyes on the product, and they wanted to make new viewers tune in. Yesterday, we were on the watch along with our very own Dez, and he said that was his first TNA pay-per-view he watched, and like live, and he said that it was absolutely brilliant, and he'll be watching TNA more often again. And if that's what the goal was for TNA, and they achieved that, more people are going to be watching TNA, and more people are invested in TNA now as a product, and that was what they needed to achieve. The AJ Styles stuff, saying he kind of just did nothing. I'm sorry, he did hint at a one last match in TNA, and he passed the torch to Leon Slater. That seemed like pretty successful to me. A pretty successful
That's my
appearance to
bad. He
me.
gave us a hint.
Yeah, so there's only enough. There's only so much time on the show, Clark. And what's coming up is Bound for Glory as well.
Well, I didn't know that.
And-
Or do you think they'll
build
play
an
Clue?
angle then. Do an angle.
need
They
to-
had time
you
to
don't need
do an
to build-
angle
you
for
don't
the
need to build an
Hardys and the
angle.
Dudleys.
Colonel
need-
Mustard with
You
the
don't need to
pipe
build.
and the
You don't
ballroom?
need. You don't need to build an angle now. They've got a live Impact coming up next week.
No,
They've got plenty. They've got plenty of weeks to come up before Bound for Glory. They've got.
I'm sure
they've
the
got
backstage
Bound for
mics will sound great on that, by the way.
Bound
They
for
built
Glo-
Kurt Angle
Here
in
we
the-
go.
in
You're
the
going with the
2010s.
production again. You're going with the
No,
production
in all seriousness, I
again.
will say this.
It's been a lot
TNA are
better.
fantastic when it's pre-recorded. Whenever it's live, they always have production issues. Not as significant as last night, but their cameras always miss big moves. Their
they
mics
don't.
are always too quiet backstage.
show
They
was
do.
okay.
Every time I watch it,
I'm-
every big pay-per-view.
Ben, it's not every big pay-per-view. They don't miss all of the big moves. Yesterday was bad because Mike Santana just went off the screen, right? And you basically didn't see anything. You always see something of the move. You see an angle. Maybe it's not the best camera angle, but WWE don't do the best camera angles all the time. But what did they do? They brought in interest into the product. And
Go
I also a
back
lot
to
of
your
people,
original question. What did they do?
they brought interest into the product. I
Yeah,
literally
but here's
said.
the actual thing, right? Online, and again, online and sometimes reality can be two different things, right? But online, there were so many people who were saying this was their first TNA event. So many people in our
Yeah.
Instagram comments right now are saying it. So
Right.
many. And then they watched it and they were like, oh, I don't want to watch another one again. This under-delivered.
But I mean, I've seen many
Fernando.
people say I've seen many people say it was the
I agree with
exact it's the
Gangnam
exact
Styles thing.
the exact opposite. I've seen many people say the exact opposite. And look, and a lot of people have been complaining. One
Oh
thing
yeah,
I wanted
list
to,
them.
one thing I wanted to mention. One thing I got them all on a list here. On a list of Jericho.
Who
The
are
one-
the people?
One thing
do
I
you
do
know
want to
them?
mention as well is about putting the big titles on NXT stars. Yes, it's not ideal, but you can make a story about that, about TNA trying to take down or bring back the company from people that's outside the company, and JC Jane and Trick Williams. You can tell a story from that. And it sounds
you
like they
can,
are
but
telling a story.
nobody's going to watch the event where that happens as much as they watch this event because it's not got the
Yes, they will.
possibility of AJ
Yes, they
Styles
will.
competing.
This
No,
isn't
it
even
won't.
this
I'm
isn't
willing
even
to bet on
this,
it unless AJ Styles competes.
historically, Slammiversary isn't even their biggest event of the year. It's
No,
Bound
it's
for
not.
Glory.
Oh wow!
It's
Now
Bound for
we're
Glory.
No,
It's
that
Bound for
is
Glory.
true. That's true. That
talking about a
is true.
spin zone by Archie.
Yeah,
But
He's like,
it's
no,
not-
it doesn't even
why do
matter
you do
that
this
much.
number? They've
But
not
this-
done
they're
this
gonna-
number in 15 years. They're not going to do it again
They're gonna
anytime
do-
soon.
They'll
Unless
have-
AJ competes.
They'll do these numbers. There'll be as many, if not more, viewers for Bound for Glory than there will be
No
for
way.
Slammiversary.
No
I can
way.
guarantee that.
No
I can guarantee
way.
that.
Unless
And we'll come
AJ
back to this.
competes, no way in hell. No
Talk
way.
soon. Talk soon, Ben. Talk soon.
We
We'll
will.
talk-
Archie's
this.
trying to be
Somebody
ominous.
clip this. I guarantee unless AJ competes,
Clip it.
that it
You
won't
can
do a
clip
bigger
it.
number. And I agree
You
with
can
Donnie, by
clip
the way.
it.
Based on what they had Styles do, they shouldn't have announced his appearance. I agree,
I
because
agree.
if he came out as a surprise, that would have
Why?
been delightful.
It's
but,
called big. It's called a good business move. They
no, but
announced.
that's what we talk. If you're gonna do that, though, you have to have him do something more. You
Walked
can't
out
tell
and said he
somebody
likes
for
they
Leon
weeks
advertise-
and
Slater. We
weeks.
They
all like Leon
advertise-
Slater.
They
We
advertise
all think
an
he's good.
appearance. They advertise an appearance, and that's all they needed to.
Oh,
to
come
they,
on!
They
It
could have
was
just
their
had him
biggest
appear.
selling point. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, and that selling point was an appearance. They gave him an appearance. They gave him more than an appearance. He put
Yeah,
over
he
one
went
of
and
the,
told us how great Leon Slater is.
Which
Yeah.
I tell you guys every week.
I've
and
known
he-
this for
but
ages.
You're not AJ Styles.
Yeah.
You're not AJ Styles, are you?
I'm WWE Styles fan, I think you'll find. TCX Warlord
Yeah, I
says
don't know if you know
Amazing
this.
Red was in
That's a
attendance.
throwback.
We have AJ Styles in our lineage. If anyone who's
Literally.
there to speak
We
about
do,
him, it's
we
Ben.
do. And the so-called Styles mega fan wasn't there to watch his TNA appearance.
No, he
live,
saw it
was
though.
I saw it this
I'm joking.
morning.
Whoa.
I
What are
had
you just talking
other
about time?
commitments.
This is the hardest working man in showbiz you're talking about, Archie.
He's very hardworking.
Absolute joke.
Wouldn't want to be owner of Wrestling
You
Public. Hardest job in the world.
You made a post-show
You'd be
graphic.
surprised,
You
honestly.
made a post-show graphic
Harder
from
than the
his
England
bed
job.
last night. I know that for a
I
fact.
I have to wake up at 2 a.m. to make post-show graphics.
He's
They
like all
just
groggy,
decided
sending me
on
voice
no
chats
thing
in the
to
middle of the
do.
night. He's like, "Hey man, it's ready." Like, all right.